Prepare to uncover the incredible journey of a driver who redefined the limits of Formula One, revealing why his audacious style isn't just about winning, but about a mindset that challenges everything. You know Sid from Ice Age, probably one of the most distinctive characters ever. Now imagine taking that persona and injecting it into the pinnacle of motorsports, and you get one of the most formidable drivers of all time, Maximilian Verstappen. Despite how much I love to point out his resemblance to Sid, Max is undeniably one of the coldest F1 drivers out there. Of course, the competition is fierce, with legends like Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, my personal GOAT Fernando Alonso, and the 2021 world champion Nicholas Latifi. But what makes Max stand out as one of the most incredible drivers of all time is his utterly audacious approach, showcasing breathtaking skill and heart-stopping moments alike. What's truly remarkable about Max is that he's been like this from day one of his career. In his Red Bull debut in 2016, he clinched his first victory with the team, an absolutely unbelievable feat. Later that same season, he executed a masterful overtake on Nico Rosberg in Sao Paulo. The boy simply finds grip where no one else can. He pulled off miraculous saves in the wet, often performing just as well as his more experienced teammate, Daniel Ricciardo. And it gets even more impressive when you realize Max achieved all of this before even getting his road driver's license. My guy was dominating in an F1 car before he was legally allowed to drive a basic Honda Civic. However, during this early period, Max still had weaknesses. He was often overly aggressive on track and defended as if his life depended on it, which famously annoyed one of the grid's cleanest drivers, Kimi Räikkönen. Yet, as Max matured over the years, he truly began to excel. He wasn't just cooking, he was baking, roasting, and toasting the competition. In 2022 and 2023, Max was incredibly fast. Paired with the dominant RB18 and RB19, he scored enough points each year to single-handedly win both Constructors Championships. Fast forward to 2024, and Red Bull hasn't been performing as consistently. The team has faced challenges. One of their drivers has been busy doing donuts, and crucially, the RB20 seemed to transform from a fighter jet in the first 10 races to a standard airliner. But despite these setbacks, Red Bull remains a competitive team, and the primary reason is Max Verstappen. Whenever the team has a difficult weekend, or the car isn't at its best, Max consistently compensates for the deficit through what's known as overdriving. Take Miami 2024, for example. In the race, Max didn't have the optimal setup. He then sustained significant floor damage, which drastically reduced his top speed, and was further disadvantaged by a safety car period. Yet he still managed to secure second place. Max is such an exceptional driver that he even has team principals reacting with awe. Toto Wolff once commented on Max's tidiness and balance, and I don't blame him. Max could put a Sauber in the top 10. That car is so challenging that if you replaced it with a steamroller, it would probably score the exact same number of points. To give you an even clearer picture of just how fast Max truly is, his ability to overdrive can be so potent that it actually blinds Red Bull to their own flaws. As far back as 2020, Red Bull admitted that Max drove the RB16 like it was a turbocharged Honda, causing the team to overlook the car's issues for almost the entire season. And this year, Christian Horner confessed that Red Bull's 2024 problems originated in Barcelona 2023. But they ignored them because Max kept winning races. It's almost unbelievable that Max's sheer speed is partially responsible for Red Bull becoming slower. You simply cannot make that up. To be fair, it's more the team's fault. If you know your driver is capable of obscuring your problems, why would you choose to do nothing about it? Honestly, Red Bull sometimes doesn't deserve Max. They can be so utterly oblivious, failing to double-check their cars simply because one of their drivers is winning. Thanks to Red Bull's complacency in 2024, the RB20 can sometimes be so poor on a race weekend that Max can't overdrive it to victory, which is a significant problem. In such situations, if someone is right behind him in a race and he can't extract any more pace from the car, Max decides to drive to the absolute limit, not just of the RB20, but also of the rules. This can lead to moments like him going wheels to wheel with Lewis Hamilton around the outside of Turn 1, or making contact, resulting in a puncture and damaged front wing for a championship contender. Max is a driver who, when out of options, actively seeks loopholes in the F1 rulebook. This is what makes him the driver he is today. He loves to gamble on these scenarios, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For example, it worked in Brazil 2021 when he was fighting for the lead, and most recently at Austin 2024, where Max perfectly placed his car through every corner, defending against Lando Norris and leveraging the rules to his advantage by defending off-track, which was perfectly allowed by the F1 regulations. I'm not sure what the FIA was thinking when they made that rule, but it is what it is. And since Lando overtook Max off track, he received a 5-second penalty, securing Max a podium finish. An example of when it didn't work was in Mexico, where Max aggressively challenged Lando Norris twice and was handed multiple penalties. At first, you might think these are desperate or ill-advised moves by Max, but upon closer inspection, they're not. In Mexico, if Max had crashed with Lando, both would have been out of the race, scoring no points, and the championship gap would have remained the same. If they didn't crash, Max's aggressive defense actually prevented Lando from winning that race. It's incredibly bold, yet genius at the same time. This is what defines Max. He's a driver willing to do whatever it takes to win. Whether you like it or not, he's going to keep driving like that, perhaps influenced by the strict upbringing from his father, but we won't dwell on that. Beyond overdriving and exploiting the rules, another quality that makes Max such a formidable driver is his ability to deliver astonishing performances from deep within the grid. At Spa in 2022, he charged from P14 to P1 before even reaching the halfway point of the race. In Miami 2023, he climbed from P9 to P1, simultaneously shattering Checo Perez's hopes and dreams for that season and perhaps his career. But one race that truly stands out is Brazil 2024, arguably one of the most beautiful Max Verstappen drives we've ever witnessed. This was largely due to it being one of the most chaotic race weekends ever. The weather in Sao Paulo was so bad that qualifying was delayed until race day. When it finally began, the rain was so torrential that almost every driver flirted with the wall. Thanks to Lance Stroll, a yellow flag was deployed, compromising both Red Bull drivers and knocking them out in Q2. Max also had a 5-place grid penalty to serve for an engine change that weekend, meaning he had to start in P7 while Lando Norris was on pole. The race itself was equally chaotic. Lance Stroll went off on the formation lap, forcing a second formation lap after an aborted start. Sergio Perez spun on the first lap. Alpine and RB were battling for the podium. Oscar Piastri and Oliver Behrman had their own moments. Lewis Hamilton looked like he was driving a boat. Franco Colapinto pulled a Logan Sargent. Behrman went off again, as did Carlos Sainz. But amidst all this carnage, Max was simply cruising through the field. By lap 4, he was already up to P10. While everyone else was struggling in the treacherous weather, he just kept climbing. He executed the same move he did on Nico in 2016, overtaking 3 cars in a single corner, then passed Lewis Hamilton, Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, and Liam Lawson. After Nico Hülkenberg spun out, Lando and George Russell pitted, but then a red flag was issued. As all the cars returned to the pit lane, changed their tires, and recharged, what do you know? Max was all the way up in P2. By the halfway point of the race, he was in second place, just behind Esteban Ocon's Alpine, which likely found itself there because the Alpine A524 performed surprisingly well in wet conditions. As the race continued, Max took the lead. While doing so, he eliminated Lando's chances into Turn 1 with a move reminiscent of Lewis Hamilton in 2021. After Max took the lead, he consistently pumped out fastest lap after fastest lap, driving flawlessly. By lap 69, Max won the race, crushing Lando's championship hopes and securing his 4th title. What an incredible drive. The cherry on top is that Max was literally against everyone heading into that race weekend. I made a video back then explaining how Max faced every disadvantage in the later stages of the 2024 season, battling against McLaren, Ferrari, the FIA, and even Red Bull themselves. Yet, in just this one race, starting from P7, Max schooled Lando Norris, schooled his teammate, schooled the FIA by having a penalty-free race, and well, Ferrari just kind of schooled themselves, typical stuff. But do you remember when Lando said this after winning the Dutch Grand Prix? Simply lovely, huh? Well, Max wasn't going to let that slide, so he hit back saying, "What an unbelievable race, guys. You know what that is, simply lovely." You don't have to be a Max fan to know that line was incredibly impactful. Despite Max's astonishing performances, there will always be doubters, like Lando Norris himself. He claimed after the Brazil race that Max's win wasn't about talent, but simply luck, he said. That's life sometimes. You take a gamble, it's paid off for them. It's not talent or, it's just luck. Now, I'm sorry, Lando, but I'm not with you on this one. Max delivered a phenomenal drive while you were literally driving off into the wilderness. Honestly, can someone please get this man a PR team? I am genuinely concerned for Lando. He keeps saying things he'll regret, and it's happened far too many times now for it not to be concerning. I understand you might be frustrated, Lando, but what you essentially just said was that your win in Miami was also all luck and not talent. And Max even defended you on that. Max stated that Lando could have won a race without a free pit stop, given how quick he was on the hot tires, but it would have been tough, requiring him to overtake 2 Ferraris, a Red Bull and Oscar. Come on, Lando Norris, you are better than this. Please stop speaking carelessly, for the sake of your own fans as well. Meanwhile, Alpine secured a double podium finish in that chaotic race, which actually mended Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly's relationship for once. Racing Bulls achieved a decent result, while Sergio Perez couldn't finish in the top 10. This man's confidence has been so shattered that he hasn't had a top 5 finish from Miami all the way to Brazil. That's 16 races. Now, we've covered Max having amazing race weekends, but what if he has a bad one? How can Max be a formidable driver if things are clearly going wrong for him in both qualifying and the race? Well, obviously, he isn't going to look formidable in every situation. No driver getting a DNF is going to look cool, apart from Logan Sargent, of course. But what Max does is transform into Mad Max, a driver ready to cause absolute chaos if it means winning a race. In Hungary 2024, he crashed into Lewis. He criticized his team so harshly that their strategist looked visibly upset. In 2018, he shoved a competitor and called him an expletive on live television. I don't really have much to comment on that, except that he was being quite rude. He publicly called out the FIA for their rule banning swearing, arguing that in other sports, you don't run around with a mic attached to you, and people often say strong things when full of adrenaline. He even raged in a game of Among Us, exclaiming, it's Max, Johnny, what? He did it right in front of me. I'm going to nuke everyone. The funniest part is Max has been like this since the day he was born. Whenever this guy gets angry, he gets truly angry. Despite most of that being humorous, some people still dislike Max because of his temper. I personally find it endearing, but obviously, some people don't. But what still makes Max such a formidable and likable driver at the same time is his utter disregard for external opinions. Every time Max is asked a question he doesn't want to engage with, he gives the most nonchalant reaction. When asked if he cares about his legacy in F1, he simply said, not really. When asked about his €50,000 fine for touching Lewis's rear wing, he quipped, it's quite a big fine, so I hope they have a nice dinner and a lot of wine. When asked about the FIA penalizing him for swearing, he dismissed it. And then my personal favorite, after Max was booed for winning in Miami, this is how he responded. It's absolutely fine as long as I stand on the top. That's for me the most important. I take the trophy home, and they go back to their houses, and they can have a nice evening. And when Lando said, simply lovely after winning in Max's home race, or when NASCAR driver Kyle Larson claimed he was better than Max, or when the media asked him if he would change his driving style after getting penalized in races, Max responded to all of these by essentially saying, I don't care. What a legend. In conclusion, Max Verstappen, in his time in F1, has carried Red Bull, made his car seem so fast his own team ignored its flaws, destroyed his teammates' confidence, made comeback drives from seemingly nowhere, given us entertaining battles, made a single mistake on heavily unpredictable wet tracks numerous times in his career, and simply doesn't care what anyone thinks. I have never been a Max fan, but he is easily what I'd call the most formidable driver of all time. Max Verstappen is one of a kind, and there will never be another one like him. Except, perhaps, for Kimi Räikkönen's son, Robin Räikkönen, who went from 22nd to 2nd in his first ever karting championship. Only time will tell what this version of Max Verstappen will look like in the future, but this time, hopefully, without the beatings and the gas station incidents, of course. Yes, unbelievable, Max, unbelievable. Max, you are a race winner. Fantastic. What a great debut. Thank you very much, Christian.